commendations are a funny thing, functioning as Sea of Thieves' version of in-game achievements. They're tracking pretty much everything you do. Almost every single mind-numbing activity, from doing a tall tale for the 10th time to stealing that one specific item of a crew that just installed the game, meaning that collecting 100% of all of them is a feat so gargantuan that nobody has ever actually achieved it, with the exception of Satoru Gojo, of course. And still, I decide to begin my journey as a Sea of Thieves completionist today, and gamers, some of these commendations literally broke me. Bro! But just like any good story, this one starts at the beginning. Waking up at Morrow's Peak Outpost, I figured that the best way to start my day was by finishing the Forsaken Shores Commendations. I was already in the Devil's Roar anyway, and I only had 2 of them left to do, consisting of finding the remains of 2 pirates. Somebody I don't have to look for are these absolute legends who support my channel with a paid membership. If you want to have your name immortalized in a video, you too can become a member for as little as $4.99, simply by clicking the join button down below. Arriving at our first destination, Devil's Thirst, it was time to find Old Coop, who is not a channel member, and as luck would have it, we arrived just in time. No, please no eruption. I need to find the dude. Where's the dude, bro? What happened to dude, bro? Are you dude, bro? Yeah, there we go. Okay, apparently that's Old Coop. That's easy enough. Alright, do that same thing at a different island and boom. Another step closer to 100%ing this game. If only all the achievements were as easy as this one. We arrived at Flintlock Peninsula to find Flintlock Bird, and yes, I was just kind of running around the island for about half an hour without finding anything. I didn't know where Bird could possibly be, so I decided to reach out to the best source of Sea of Thieves information on the internet. The voices in my head. It's on the coast towards the north, stuck in some rocks. Oh my god. Okay, I would have never found this without the voice in my head. No wonder I didn't have this one. How was I meant to find this? What? Who came up with this idea? Poor guy. Okay, well, let's finish this one. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have Forsaken Shores complete. Now I know that these were ridiculously easy commendations to start out with, but completing 100% of this game means doing the easy stuff as much as it means doing the difficult stuff. Speaking of which, for the next commendation, I'm going to need to get my hands on an Ashen Winds skull. For some reason, the boss didn't feel like playing today, so rather than fighting an Ashen Lord, I was just kind of stabbing a pile of bones until I got bored of being stabbed and dropped the skull. This, my friends, was the easy part, because what do we need to do with that skull? Set fire to a bunch of skeleton ships. A simple task on the surface, which when playing completely on your own turns out to be surprisingly difficult. At least finding those bony battleships was not going to be a challenge, because they will always spawn along a smuggler's route, which once again is in the Devil's Roar for this season. Getting the skull on that boat? Now that is another challenge entirely. Please don't sail away. Please. Bro, no. Wait. How do I get this stupid skull on here? I can't even see it anymore. Oh, come on. Did they just unanchor my boat? I need this to be stationary. My skull. Oh, now you're coming. Okay. Really? Now? How do I miss that boat? God damn it. Stop unanchoring my boat. I might just have to tank this until I get close enough. Ooh. Stay calm, Cliff. Stay calm. Can I predict the trajectory? Okay. Not. Game! These damn random prompts, man. Why are they always sailing away from me when I try to get on? Just full commit. Do the thing my ex never wanted to do. Okay, does this count? Surely this counts, right? Drop this here. And now we can just do this. And return! Hello? Game? What do you mean? Why is the boat diving? What just happened? Why am I finding every bug in the video game right now? They were queuing for PvP. Season 19 isn't even out yet. At the time of making this video. Bro! Now, when I say I was never closer to uninstalling than I was whilst trying to get this specific commendation, I'm not kidding. The way these ships behave when all you need them to do is circle around your boat is like there's a rare dev at the helm making sure you can never guess its next move. And the worst part, I had to do this 8 more times on 8 unique skeleton ships. At least the shipwright gave me twice the amount of supplies for my money, so I guess there's one bug that worked in my favor, but needless to say that this whole thing was insanely tedious. I don't want to bore you guys with like 15 uninterrupted uninterrupted minutes of me trying to get this one commendation, but highlights included ships randomly accelerating the opposite direction of me and my skull, a second skeleton ship joining the party when I was not done with the first one yet, a megalodon crashing the fray because I was not strong enough yet, and my targets deciding to despawn when there was even a fraction of a chance that I might be able to board them. Oh yeah, also one of them just straight up stole my rowboat when I failed to use the harpoon gun to get on there. All in all, I was having a really bad time. One that was only interrupted by a random guy talking to me out of nowhere whilst I was on my grind. Upon closer inspection, bro had gotten on my boat whilst I was committing arson, and rather than questioning how, when, and why he is on my vessel, I remembered that there were more commendations besides this one I still needed to complete, and some of them cannot be completed without the help of others. Could I bother you for like a couple more minutes? Could you come with me to a fortress for another commendation? Now, I was being deliberately vague about what it was that I needed his help with, because I was afraid if I told him all the details, he would say no. So we sailed on over to the nearest seaford where I could finally drop the bombshell on him. Alright, just follow me. Okay, this is gonna sound really weird. Could you sleep in the bunk bed with me? I swear, the dev who added this commendation must have been insanely down bad. Thankfully, my barely-clad friend over here agreed, and with that, I could complete my seaford commendations with the addition of 40 winks. And shortly after that, I finally came up with a high IQ plan of simply reeling the skelly ship towards my boat and then setting it on fire from the comfort of my own deck. Had I come up with that idea a few hours prior, I could have saved myself a lot of headaches. But that marks the conclusion of my final Ashen Winds commendation, putting us yet another step closer to full completion. Now, one thing was for certain, I needed a break from the PvE grind, and whilst I know I'm not exactly known for my PvP prowess, I was actually almost halfway through to finishing all of my Servants of the Flame commendations. And since that is literally the de facto PvP faction in the game, surely that means that Rare is going to have me engage in PvP activities. Right? Naturally, I would not try to do that on my own because, I mean, you saw how much I struggled doing this completely solo up until now. You think I'm gonna subject myself to that in PvP? And who better to join me in my suffering than the very player that helped me get the first half of my Servants commendations? A lot of these achievements are going to require us to wear our skeleton curses whilst doing a variety of different activities, so knocking them out in order of difficulty, the first thing we needed to do was simply shoot a very specific firework that we brought from the shipwright. Much to my dismay, the very next one sent us back to the Devil's Roar, and to even more of my dismay, it was not actually a PvP activity. Meaning, I could not get carried by Mifu. What we actually had to do was complete a tall tale whilst wearing our skeleton curses. You'd think I'd have that unlocked considering I'm like this story guy, but it's been a really long time since I've done this tall tale, you guys. Now, I'm not gonna bore you with the details considering I've already made a video on getting the curse that this rewards, but there's one specific part of this quest that actually gave us a lot of trouble despite the thousands of hours of experience shared between the two of us. Sorry, did I say thousands of hours? What I meant to say was tens of thousands of hours for Mifu alone, making what followed next even more embarrassing for the both of us. Does this ever stop?
Why do you choose the hardest one, Cliff?
You rolled the dice for it!
No.
Wait, I got you.
Oh wait, maybe I can move forward because I'm...
Oh yeah, maybe we can just inch our way forward like that.
Oh.
Wait, we can go one more time. Wait, we're geniuses.
We're so smart.
Inch by inch, we got this. Oh, okay, now my turn.
Okay, now you go, now you go.
Oh!
Yo, we're actually so good.
Truly, these are the kinds of high IQ strategies only veteran players can come up with. Now, the reason you see me do these extremely tedious things together with my friends is because, I mean, I'm trying to get carried, obviously, but it also really helps me not lose my mind even when things go wrong. I'm saying this because I've seen some comments of people who are not happy that I keep asking my gold curse friends to help me out with projects, but like, these are my friends. I don't care how good or bad they are at the game, I just like playing with them. Anyway, as you watch us painfully struggle through a dungeon designed for 12-year-olds, let me assure you, there are some solo challenges in the works that just gonna take longer to get out. But as soon as the tall tale was complete, the commendation was ours, and we were now about to find out that the next one was even worse than this, because we had to go fishing. Now, some of you might be like, wait, is that the shores of gold? Why are you at a tall tale location again? And the answer to that is this pond. You see, for this commendation, I needed to fish up some fish bones whilst wearing bones myself. You wanna know how rare it is to get that item? Like 1%? According to my estimation, the drop rate is about 1%. And the only way to accelerate this is by going to that specific pond, because every time a fish tries to take the bait, it almost immediately resets the spawn. It is hard-coded into this pond that you cannot get a fish fish, meaning once you do finally get treacherous plunder, you can reel it in just fine. But as you can imagine, the fish bones are not the only treacherous plunder, and as such, we spent hours upon hours at this location doing nothing but fishing. Actually, that's not true. At one point, I did have the audacity to go take a piss, which is precisely when this happened.
Oh my god, he's AFK, he has the bones. Cliff, get back.
What? Are you kidding me? I went AFK and I get the damn bones.
You only had to go AFK. That's all you had to do.
Sea of Thieves is one of the games of all time, bro. Honestly, if me fishing for hours for a single commendation does not earn me a like on this video, I don't know what will. Now, despite popular belief, there actually are PvP commendations for the PvP faction, even though the game was determined to send every PvE enemy in the game towards us at once. Whilst we did knock out a few more comms, like completing a Phantom Fleet while throwing the Skeleton Curse and watching somebody else go through the Ritual of the Flame, riveting gameplay by the way, none of that was really interesting enough to warrant an entire segment in this video. Instead, I will fast forward us to the part where we actually had to engage in PvP, because you see, there is a commendation that requires us to do something no sane Hourglass player would ever do. Q for defense. That simply means raising the hourglass and waiting to get invaded rather than diving to a match immediately, and we were about to find out why it is that nobody does that. But not before Mifu had the boneheaded idea of not only collecting a black powder keg, but then storing it behind my wheel, because this guy had the brilliant strategy of swimming out to where he expects our enemies to spawn to then nuke them seconds into the match. Honestly, that's the kind of stupid idea I would come up with, but having the guy that is supposed to carry me suggest that certainly did not sit right with me. So we waited an absolutely unreasonable amount of time without getting invaded even once. It got to the point where we decided to abandon the whole idea and instead sail around to work on another commendation requiring 1,000 miles sailed whilst representing the Servants of the Flame. And guess what? Yeah, we got invaded basically milliseconds after the keg returned to our boat. Needless to say that Mifu did not succeed in his plan, and even more needless to say that we got absolutely destroyed. But here's the real kicker, because I was about to find out that even if we had won that fight, it wouldn't actually have mattered.
What?
Wait, I'm only missing 2 commendations, but it says 25 out of 39. Wait, what? Am I missing something?
What are you talking about?
So I'm missing 2 commendations. There's only 2 of them that are locked, not completed.
Yeah.
But the counter says 25 out of 39.
Yeah, it's because, like, the grades. Yeah, you can do your grades.
Oh, right, the grades. Oh my god. So even if I get 1,000 miles today, I'm not going to be able to finish.
You're not getting 1,000 miles today. You wouldn't get 1,000 miles in a week.
Are you serious right now? That's it. I'm quitting.
You're quitting?
I'm done. I'm done. Yep. Up until now, I was only paying attention to whether or not the commendation was crossed out to determine if it was completed. But some of these things have grades to them, meaning you don't have to do them just once, but sometimes 3, 5, or even 10 times over. That's the part that broke me, thinking I was so close to finishing another whole section just to realize I was nowhere near, absolutely destroyed every last bit of motivation I had for that day. Which leaves me with a question for you guys. Do you want to see more videos like this one, watching me chip away at the massive catalog of content available in this game? Feel free to drop a like if you do, a dislike if you don't, or a comment telling me how you feel about this as a series. And if you do enjoy this type of content, what about you check out my video hunting for the rarest Steam achievements in Sea of Thieves? You can find the card on screen right now. But until then, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you guys have a day filled with commendations on the sea. And until next time, peace.